Thanks so much for staying with us inside your morning show, The Morning Agenda, on Power 106 FM. I'm Jodie-Anne Quarrie. Information has been swirling on social media and from the Accompong press that Chief Richard Currie has been deposed from his position as Chief of Accompong. The information being published is that all the Maroon Council members, both from the General Maroon Council and the Grand Maroon Council, voted to convict Richard Currie on 27 alleged impeachment charges, along with making a vote of no confidence. This action is said to have automatically removed Richard Currie from his position as Chief of Accompong. However, Chief Richard Currie says all of that is only rumor. To discuss what's happening there in Accompong, we have with us now Chief of Accompong, Richard Currie. Good morning, Chief Currie, and welcome to the Morning Agenda.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
You have been called ex-chief by members of the Accompong community, most notably in Accompong News, which has indicated that with an astonishing and unanimous vote by the Accompong Town Maroon Council of Elders, you have been convicted on more than 27 impeachment charges and were subject to a vote of no confidence. They say this automatically deposed you from your position as Chief of Accompong Town. Did such a vote happen, and is that the current position?
All right, so let me clear all of that up for you. So all the accusations and claims are false, right? What we've had here is a group of individuals who are aligned to former Colonel Farron Williams and former Colonel Rudy Rowe, both of whom were deposed in the last election as candidates. And what they have engaged upon the last 18 months is a campaign of propaganda, libel, and slander. They have tied themselves up with other affiliates, a set of fellows who control a web page called Accompong News. Let me make it clear. This page is not an official news page affiliated with the governance or the politic body of the Trelawney Town Maroons of Accompong. So I want to make it very clear that all these claims are very libelous, slanderous, and that there was no meeting that took place. Secondly, there are no such entities as the Grand Council and the General Council. As per the Constitution, we have the Executive Council, we have the full Maroon Council. The Constitution of 2004, which was recently amended and ratified in March of 2022, specifies the process by which any injunction or any claim can be brought towards the point of impeachment of any leader. And I will read that to you. Article 1, Section 2. The full Maroon Council. It says, the full Maroon Council shall choose their speaker and the other officers, and shall have the sole power for removal or impeachment of the chief, deputy chief, and any council member. The Executive Council shall meet once per month and not less than 10 times per calendar year as required by this Constitution. In the event of impeachment or removal of chief, deputy chief, and any of the council members, they will be tried by the Executive Council. The findings of the Executive Council will be brought to the full Maroon Council for review. If the individual is found guilty, a meeting of the full Maroon Council will be called with the Maroon citizens of the sovereign state of Accompong to reveal the findings. A vote will be taken by written ballots for the removal or impeachment of the chief, the deputy chief, and any council member. None of these protocols were followed. Additionally, there was a list that was provided of several members of the community who were apparently a part of this movement. Since the publishing of that article, more than half of those who would have been listed in that document have totally removed themselves from any affiliations with this article, with this movement, and what it's trying to do. The problem is, the root source of this problem is money, greed, and the love of money.
All right.
People in our communities have been promised monies from former Colonel Williams, and all these monies are set to coming from bauxite mining companies. So do the rest.
All right. So, Chief Currie, let's dig into some of the things that you have shared with us this morning. One, that Accompong News is not an official news source from the Accompong community. Where then would individuals be able to find official news? Because this article appears on its face to be an official article stating what has taken place, indicating that, for example, over 90% of Accompong Maroon citizens voiced their opinions that never in the existence of Accompong town have they ever experienced such anarchy in their community, all because of this new chief. One Maroon citizen, they said, cried with joy, bending on her knees, praying to the sky, thanking God for getting rid of the most embarrassing experience and situation they have ever seen or endured in their community. This is public going out, appearing to be from the Accompong group, indicating that they just don't love you.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. It is misleading, it is libelous, and it is slanderous. And we will be pursuing legal actions against those involved. I must make it very clear to you. So we're not taking this lightly. The threat that has been put towards us, not only recently, if you would have been following the pronouncements I would have made in the last 2 weeks, particularly on my Instagram account, Chief Richard Currie, you would have seen, I would have highlighted the nefarious acts being committed by former members of the government here. On top of that, the affiliations with external entities. And let me tell you, I continuously invite people here to come and speak with my residents in Accompong. And it's not just Accompong. We must also bear in mind that there are several adjoining districts that participate by ballot each time that we have an election. Let's talk to them as well. Let's talk to everyone. But I have here with me an elder from the community, Miss Melita Rowe. Right? If you want, I'll let you hear from her yourself.
So, Chief Currie, then thanks for letting us know that you have someone else on standby for us to be able to speak to. But let's explore some of what you've said as well. Those 27 impeachment charges that you were allegedly convicted on, and that vote took place on September 10th of 2022. You said that that is not in conformity with the new constitution passed in March of 2022. Would that have been in conformity with the old constitution?
No, it would not. And as I said, there was actually no meeting. They said that there was a meeting that was held at the primary school. We're currently doing rehabilitation work on the primary school fee. We were there up until 7:30 p.m. that night that they said that a meeting was convened. It was raining heavily. I can tell you, I can assure you, there was not a single entity or person here who hosted any meeting. Secondly, the Constitution is very clear and the process is outlined. And none of these members who are listed are a member of the current Executive Council or Full Maroon Council. The entities aren't even recognized. These are entities that these fellows would have created and published their articles in an effort to remove myself and the administration from office. But that's not how it works. And the former Colonel Ferran Williams, as well as Murdy Rowe, have both lots of questions to answer, not only to myself, but the people, public office, and many questions remain unanswered. That has been the source of a lot of issues that have been ongoing here in Accompong. Mr. Williams is relentless and refuses to let go of what he once had control of.
Well, they article from the Accompong News also brands you as relentless, Chief Currie, indicating that one Grand Council member says he doesn't expect you to go without a fight, and he understands that and feels sorry for you, but all you have done, they've said, is destroy the great heritage and culture while bringing shame and disgrace to their community. This sort of back and forth is playing out in the public domain as the Maroons call for greater land access and control over their communities. Is this something that you think might harm those calls that you were making?
So let me again be clear. All the accusations that you continue to read are false accusations. What you're witnessing are elements who will go at length, which no means to stop, to prove a point, to dishonor the people, to further remove any dignity from them. Remember, only 2 weeks ago, the gate at the community was removed by elements associated with former Colonel Williams, right? Threats were sent into the community of men raiding here, gunmen. These were reported and we had no actions on behalf of any assistance coming to bring relief to the tense situation that existed. Now, I'm saying to you that everything that is on that document, I strongly refute. And don't take it from me. Take it from the people residing here. Take it from the things that my administration and myself have accomplished in the 18 months that we've been here. Listen, 18 months, right? Now, if we're to put into context, the previous 11 months to that, to which Colonel Williams would have been in office, we are proud as an executive body and a full council today to celebrate having achieved more in terms of development, infrastructure, and pride amongst our people than we've done in perhaps the last 15 to 20 years.
Chief of Accompong, Richard Currie, we're going to take a break with you inside the morning agenda and come back exploring more about what's going on in that community. Stay with us inside the morning agenda on Power 106 FM. Thanks so much for staying with us inside your morning show, The Morning Agenda on Power 106 FM. I'm Jodie-Anne Quarrie. This morning, we're discussing what's been going on in the Accompong community with information swirling on social media that Chief Richard Currie had been deposed from his position as chief of the Accompong Maroons. Richard Currie, though, as chief, has indicated that those rumors are in fact false. And he joins us this morning to explain what's going on. Chief Currie, you said to us that you have been in place for 18 years along with your council, and you've been able to...
18 months.
18 months, thank you. 18 months, and been able to make improvements in the community. One of those improvements, though, seems to be that new constitution with the amendment, the amended procedures for impeachment of individuals. Why was that an improvement that you thought was important to put in place for the Maroon community?
Because prior to that, we had issues in terms of governance to which leadership could not be held accountable. The structure of the Constitution was in much debate at the time because it wasn't ratified, though terms were accepted. And because of that, it was used as a loophole to escape accountability and trial by the council and members of the community. So we had issues even with the election where former Colonel Williams put up such a resistance. He was actually claiming he would be chief for life and he would only pass office when he died. And that was a similar stance that was taken by Colonel Sterling in Moortown, who was elected in a democratic process, but then changed the terms of the electoral body once he assumed position. Now, the Maroons have always maintained their customs and traditions, and even though many of the new, I'd say, forms of how we carry out our ballot might be more of a modernized system, it still represents the will of the people in having the right to elect who they feel is fit to carry on the leadership as successor to Kojo. Now, former Colonel Williams was a part of the ballot last year. I won by the largest victory ever in a Maroon election, and it was quite profound what the people said, how they spoke and the actions they took when the day came, and that is why we're here today. And the unraveling since coming into office, I must make it clear to the public again, it has not been normal what we have found to have been going on here in Accompong. I've made several pronouncements. I don't see it being picked up by mainstream media. We have missed $1 million from a US dollar account that Mr. Williams did not hand over to the council. It was created in the name of the Accompong Development Foundation, which is an entity of the state as far back as 2005, prior to Mr. Williams taking office. Monies which were siphoned through this account would have been tied and linked to the operations of what would have been then this currency that was emanating from the space called the Lumi. We have dug deeper, and I'm going to just leave it at this point, to find that the involvement of this individual with external parties would have brought to Accompong the world's most wanted man as of July 2020, who was involved in a massive scam in Germany called the Wirecard scam, where €3 billion went missing. We have found traces and documents that shows that this guy is part owner in what was to be the bank, Central Solar Reserve Bank of Accompong. We found documents tying communications, former Colonel Williams and his affiliates, to this account, who they declared was a personal account, not a state account. We have made this clear. We have put this out. We have put the information to the relevant authorities for over a year now. We've had no action.
Why have you not pursued a civil claim then? Because if you're saying that so much money has been removed and the authorities, whoever you sent it to, might not have acted on it, it's also within the power of the Accompong community to pursue civil claims. Why have you chosen not to do so?
Mr. Williams has refused to come forward to answer any questions as it relates to the ongoings of his administration and affiliates in that time. What we've had to do was to raise it to the highest level of crime, of criminal investigative authority on the island, MOCA, because the institution, right, I would not name it here at this moment, but the institution, right, we can't access more than our bank account, which we have provided, and provided the details of these monies moving through our account. We've provided the entities involved, offshore companies in St. Lucia, and the nefarious connections to these entities that would have led us to come to the conclusion that something terribly wrong was happening here in Accompong.
So you have so you're branding it then as a major crime that has taken place with that missing $1 million and the lack of accountability and transparency.
But it didn't end there. It didn't end there, because now Mr. Williams is back to claim the building that was constructed as a community town hall, which would be used as the meeting rooms, the offices of the chief and the administration. And he's now saying this is a personal building.
Chief Currie, claim it as what? What would he use it for then, if he's saying it's a personal building?
He wants to use it for his personal use.
So turn it into a home?
Exactly. So that's the problem that we have here in the community, that you take once, you take twice, but you haven't taken enough, so you come back for more. And at this point, you're inciting violence and creating disunity amongst the people, because you're now pulling a sector of the community aside. You're making promises of money. They've been listen, when I came into office, there was talk of a $50 million windfall coming in. And he's so upset because now I'm the one that's going to have to collect it. So I was wondering, what is this? What are they talking about? I got no documents from Mr. Williams in the handover other than the keys for the bus, one bank account, and 2 expired contracts as it relates to tower site rentals in the community.
So clearly, there are issues then with the administration in Accompong that you're sharing with us, that you're working on. The prior administration in Accompong that you said that you're sharing with us, that you have been working on. But while you have been in place for 18 months now, when are the Accompong Maroons expected to make another election of who they would like to rule them? When their next election's coming up?
So the election happens every 5 years. So every leader gets a term of 5 years. Right.
Why would former Colonel Williams then only have enjoyed 11 months then as leader of the Accompong Maroons?
11 years.
11 years.
11 years.
Okay.
He sat 2 terms and resisted having the election going into what would have been a 3rd term. And it was the will of the people that stood up, that demanded that they get to exercise their right. And mediators were brought in. There were several high-level meetings to ensure that a fair and democratic process was conducted. Had it not been that way, we would be singing a different story today.
Chief Currie, you've also indicated to us that those individuals who might have been associated with that press report coming out from the media source that you have branded not affiliated with the Accompong Maroons, accompong.news, that about half of them have removed themselves. What about the other half? And what challenge does that pose for your administration?
Well, the truth is, I haven't heard from them. I've opened the door for a meeting next week at 3 p.m. to have a mediation session, right? Because, of course, there's always the opportunity to resolve issues if there are issues. The point is, we've had 18 town hall meetings in the last 18 months, and we have provided ample space and room, not only in town hall meetings, but also from point of contact in the communications at the office, for people to air any concerns or grievances. We haven't received any. Yes, like every democratic society, you will have the yeas and you will have the nays. Now, my mission is not to segregate and separate. It's to unify and amalgamate. I've been on that sole mission for the last 18 months. The amount of work that my administration has put in the last 18 months, the evidence is there to show for itself. The people can talk for themselves, and which is why I invite you all to come here, sit with us, walk the town with us, talk to the people, and hear for yourselves what's really going on.
That you haven't received any complaints might not mean that none exist. Some have
That's what I'm
branded
saying,
you.
though.
Certainly.
You'll have the years and the nays.
Certainly, but
Yeah,
some
brother.
have branded you as a dictator, saying that under your administration it's very difficult to speak up. How do you respond to those allegations?
I say that's a false allegation. As I say, I've been the most transparent leader that the Maroons have had, perhaps in the last 50 years. And what we have done and maintained is that nothing will go under the nose. We want to rebuild trust, because trust is the source and the element of further belief in development. We are putting forward very ambitious plans, but we have to have the support of the people, and support only comes through trust. Now, when I say the dictatorship, that argument was something that was being spun on me from last year. And in openness, as I said, what we have done and what we have created in terms of the governance structure, we have the largest full Maroon Council that have ever existed. In total, we have 42 members in the total executive and full council body, right? We ensure that everything that we do, there's transparency. No decisions have been taken without the approval of the council. And to date, there's not one single contract or document that we would have signed contrary to the protocol as is outlined in the Constitution. So I'm really trying to balance the table and not be on the side of trying to say that, I'm a perfect leader. I am not. The point is, when there are entities that are aligned to a particular interest, remember now, nothing you do will be good enough if it is not fulfilling the outcome that they are looking for.
Accompong Chief Richard Currie, thank you so much for spending time with us inside the morning agenda to address rumours of you being deposed, as well as to talk to us about what's going on in the Accompong community. Thanks so much for joining us.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're really glad that you were able to spend the time with us this morning to have that conversation. Many Jamaicans hearing Chief Currie for the first time. We'll continue to watch what's going on with the Accompong Maroons and Chief Currie as he explains some of the challenges going on during his administration as a result, he says, of former Accompong chiefs. We, though, are done for today, and you've got a full show of information that you can use as you go off into your daily lives. That's it for today's edition of the Morning Agenda. Special thanks to our producer Jade Royal, our technical operator Chandel Forbes, and you make this show possible. I'm Jodie-Anne Quarrie.